Kevin is currently 12th in the points with a win this season. So we at Chicagoland Speedway are, of course, excited to kick off the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup for the third consecutive year. And we know every weekend is vital and important and you're going out to win every weekend, but how does your mindset change as you start to think about qualifying for the chase?
Well, I think right now, obviously, the win is important to be able to, to have that in your back pocket. Obviously, Daytona and Talladega haven't been friendly to us this year. I think we've scored 6 points between the two races, so it's been a little rough patch there. But the cars have run good everywhere. That's the main thing. Is we just close the races and keep our head down, and everything should be fine.
And then you've been out here the last 2 days testing with Goodyear, and this actually marks the first time that the Gen 6 car has been on track at Chicagoland Speedway. So after 2 days of testing, what can we expect to see in September?
Well, I think that, as expected, I think that everybody knew that the cars would be faster. We unloaded yesterday faster than we qualified last year, so in race trim. So that's just probably a lot to do with the track being green, and usually the racetracks that are a little bit wore out like this one, which is a good thing. The track is really fast, when there's no rubber on it. So as the rubber's gotten on it, the speeds have come back, but they're still about a second faster than what we ran last year in race pace.
Great. Media will now open it up to you for questions. John, with RPM tonight.
Hi, John Kernan. Kevin, on a tire test like this, 2 days, typically what goes on from the driver's point of view? How many laps do you turn? What kind of feedback do the Goodyear engineers look, for from you?
Yeah, from a driver's standpoint, it's a lot of laps. And the engineers are looking to get some feedback on whatever new left sides, right sides, construction, stagger, compound. It just depends on what they're looking for. I think they felt pretty comfortable with the tire that they raced here last year, which is what we have called our control tire. So that tire seems to be pretty durable, fairly good lap times, and the wear seems to be pretty good. So they're just looking for something that's a little bit better always. They use our cars and our sport to try to help their technology and make their tires better. So always trying, but for us it's a lot of laps. Yesterday we did short runs. Today, this afternoon we'll do a lot of the longer run stuff, and they'll check temperatures and wear and make sure they're happy with what they think are the tires that they have selected to narrow it down to their choices and make sure that the wear and temperatures are within their tolerances.
Other questions? Go ahead.
So for the drivers who are here participating in this, do you find out after the test is over whether or not, what tires they're going to bring back for the race, and does it give you guys an advantage?
Well, I think as Goodyear goes through their evaluation of what they want, a lot of times they'll come back with something that you didn't even test to try to put together constructions and compounds and molds and things like that. So it's definitely not a disadvantage to be here. I think as you look at all the information that you can get, but you're putting in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and there's a lot of money spent from the teams and Goodyear for their stuff to come to these types of tests. So but it's definitely not a disadvantage.
Tina with the Sun-Times and Herald News.
Hey Kevin, just wondering, after watching how Talladega ended on Sunday, what kinds of things do you think both NASCAR and you as a driver are taking away from that whole experience during the last lap?
As far as, I don't really understand.
As far as safety, as far as, I don't want to criticize NASCAR, but it was in the dark when everything was started. Ryan Newman had said, had some critical comments afterwards. What do you think NASCAR is going to take away from that experience to?
Well, I think NASCAR did a good job. The nationwide race, was run later than the Cup race, and just because you have one driver that wrecked and was frustrated and criticized it and blamed that on his bad finish is not fair to read into the whole scenario. I think, you know, from a fan's perspective, I think, you know, I think that NASCAR did everything they could do to finish the race, and they did, and had a great finish. And you know, there's a lot of opinions on how you should and shouldn't do things, and none of us are up there making those calls, and they've made them hundreds of times. So, you know, they can see out the window, and I'm not going to put anybody in a bad position. And in my opinion, it's just like, you know, when they go out and drive the track, you know that when Buster comes back from the pace car, that the track's going to be dry, and you go out on the track and you never think twice about it, and you drive in the corner wide open. So, in my opinion, that they're not going to put us in a position that's from darkness or rain. They're not going to put us in a position that's a bad position as a competitor. It might not turn out the way you wanted it to before it was raining, but that's not their fault.
Willie with Comcast Sportsnet.
Hey, Kevin. I guess in general, just Chicago itself, the following you have in the city, the speedway here, just some thoughts in general.
Yeah, well, you know, we were fortunate to win the first couple races here, and this has always been a really good racetrack for us as far as fans and following. And, so it's been a good place for us. Obviously, most all of us, especially when we come in for the chase, and enjoy going to the city, and you know, usually bring our wives with us, and just are able to have a, you know, kind of a low-key couple days, and just hang out and have a good time. So Delaney and I really enjoy coming to Chicago, and you know, especially leading into Chase Week. Obviously, you hope that you're in that week so that you can spend a couple days here, but we really enjoy it.
Any other questions, John?
Yeah, I want to go back to social media. And after the race, Keselowski made some comments via Twitter regarding the eventual winner and changing lanes and all that. We all know that was approved, the change and all that. There was nothing against the rules. But as a driver who also sometimes tweets, how much do you have to watch yourself and what you say? And does something like what has happened this week with the uproar over Keselowski's comments make you more aware of what you say, what you tweet?
You definitely have to have an on-off switch for your Twitter, because once you write it, you can't take it back. And usually when I'm frustrated, I just leave my phone in my pocket, and I can't tell you how many times I've written a tweet, and I've learned to go back and read them and think about it before you send it out. So you definitely have to be responsible about that, because that stuff can, you know, especially in this situation, you know, kind of came back and bit Brad a little bit, just for the fact that, you know, it was pretty clear as to, you know, it was explained pretty well as to where you're supposed to line up from the NASCAR radio and how it all went down. So whether, you know, he didn't get all the information or not, doesn't matter. It's just sometimes you gotta have all the facts.
Any last questions? Tina?
I just have one other thing. Is there anything about the season so far you've really been surprised about? Whether it's a certain race outcome or even the point standings?
I don't think any. I think the California race was probably the thing that everybody, I would say, probably when we get to the end of the year, we'll look back and say probably that's going to be the best race of the year. And you look at that type of track and see, I think you really see the potential in the car, and you know, getting the tires right and getting everything right as to what the product can be when everything's hitting on all 8 cylinders. So I think that's the most promising thing. Obviously, we've had other good races, but that was in the great race category. But I think that's been the most exciting thing. Obviously, you know, we're 10 weeks in, and the points are always kind of mixed up at this particular point. You know, some guys that have had some bad luck at the start of the year and some good luck, and so you get that mixture. But you know, once we get through Charlotte and you race the 600 and you really get into that grind week to week through the summer and heading down the stretch, that's when you really see where you stand.